Now, the Chief Minister of Gibraltar has accused Spain of acting like a dictatorship as a row over the British territory continues to escalate. Spain's Foreign Minister has threatened to introduce a €50 fee to cross the border after a disagreement about an artificial reef that he says will damage Spanish fishing grounds. In an interview, he said Gibraltar's party is over. But this morning, Gibraltar's Chief Minister, Fabian Picardo, tells Sky News statements like that were unacceptable.
I think this is really quite a silly remark for the Spanish Foreign Minister to have made. He's saber-rattling a la North Korea. It almost makes one feel as if you're listening to the politics of Franco in the 1950s and 60s.
Well, our Europe correspondent Robin Nisbet is in Brussels, and listening to that from the Chief Minister, saber-rattling like North Korea, comparing it to Franco, he's really ramping it up.
Those words are going to sting, but obviously the words of the Spanish Foreign Minister have stung back in Gibraltar as well. And it may be because there's not a huge amount of news going on that they have felt that this is given them space to reopen this wound. But I think a lot of it has to do with politics as well. Certainly in Spain, where there is a nascent corruption scandal growing, there is also extremely poor economic data that seems to be coming out almost every day. Some are suggesting in Gibraltar and here in Brussels that this is a transference technique by the Spanish government, that they're trying to attract attention away from their problems back onto Gibraltar, which of course has been a source of anger and discontent between both Spain and the United Kingdom back 300 years since the Treaty of Utrecht, when Gibraltar was handed to the British in perpetuity, as the document would suggest.
Is Brussels likely to have anything to say with this, given where you are, Robert? These are, of course, two of the major EU players.
Well, this is the interesting element to this. When Gibraltar was handed over with the Treaty of Utrecht 300 years ago, Spain and Britain were at war in the War of Spanish Succession. Obviously, now we are EU partners. And Gibraltar, although it isn't one of the 28 members of the EU, it is part of the EU by its connection to the United Kingdom. And therefore, the rules of the EU apply. And that applies to freedom of movement, of trade, goods and people. And if the Spanish government follows through with its threat to introduce this €50 charge for people travelling to and from the ROC, then obviously that could be seen to flout that particular law. So Brussels may have something to say about that. There are also other threats that the Spanish government have been throwing out in the midst of all of this as well, including blocking Spanish airspace to planes that are heading towards Gibraltar, and also extra audits for Gibraltarians that may have property or business interests on the Spanish mainland. All of these are pretty serious threats. And the UKIP MEP that represents the southwest of England, and also since 2004 Gibraltar, has been talking today, William Dartmouth, and he's been upping the ante even more, Dermot. He said it's time the British government pulled its finger out. He said the Spanish behaviour was more suited to Argentina than a mature European democracy, and he's even suggested that a frigate perhaps should be sent down to Gibraltar to show that the British mean business.
Well, that really would be an interesting development. Robert, thank you very much indeed. Robert Nisbet there. Now it's the ultimate taste.